Wipro. Do business better.
Hello again from this GTB Wipro TV special at Mobile World Congress in Barcelona. We're talking today about voice over LTE, and I'm your host, Alan Burkitt-Gray. I have with me, on my right, Dan Warren, Senior Director of Technology at the GSM Association, and on my left, Elaine Robinson, who's Director of Next Generation Voice and Data Programs at Eircom, the Irish operator. Dan, let me start with you. You played a huge part in the development of LTE and voice over LTE. It's always been a surprise to me that pioneering LTE networks still use 3G for voice. Is that because it's been so difficult, so much technical work has been needed to develop voice over LTE?
It is true to a certain extent. Part of the problem is that operators have a massive investment in existing voice already. It's there, it works, there's chipsets available, the technology exists on devices. Voice over LTE for those operators is a fundamental change, not just in the technology but also in attitude. It's moving out of the comfort of a TDM-based world into a service which feels like something which could be considered just derived as over-the-top data. The fact is that voice over LTE is something with a little bit more intellect and a little bit more instantiation than that, but it does mean that there are still technical challenges around it. So the pioneers are those who are coming to this without a GSM background, so people like Verizon, people like Metro PCS.
Okay. Elaine, tell me about Eircom's plans for LTE in Ireland and voice over LTE. I know you've just got some spectrum, yes, and you played a huge part in winning that spectrum. So what are your plans now to roll it out?
So we were awarded both 800 and 1800 LTE spectrum in the recent Irish auction. So we're planning to deploy and go live this year, and initially deploying with circuit switch fallback, and then hoping to go with VoLTE early next year. So a huge, as you were saying, it's a massive investment, a huge deployment for us, whether it's the core network, the RAN network, the charging systems. But very excited about LTE and the prospects with LTE.
Thanks. Dan, is that typical of what operators are doing worldwide, rolling out LTE and looking for the potential?
I think so. I think the places where we see LTE rolled out particularly aggressively, we see the potential really coming to fruition. So markets like Korea, Verizon, NTT Docomo, places where there is a latent pent-up demand for broadband technology on wireless. It's almost consumers don't realise they want it until they're presented with the possibility, and then they seize it with both hands. I think the challenge for operators is to first of all meet that expectation, meet the demand, deploy in a way which doesn't have some of the backhaul issues we've had with HSPA and HSPA Plus in the past, but then also to look at ways that they can expand their service set using that bandwidth and moving into a more IP-oriented mindset about things like messaging and partnering with third-party application providers.
I saw a really impressive demonstration here at Mobile World Congress a couple of days ago, how fast it is to connect a VoLTE call. Yeah. VoLTE or Volt. Tell me about that, because I think you disagree. But what are the other advantages, apart from setup speed of Volt? Well,
dealing with VoLTE and Volt first, I came up with the acronym and I say Volt, but then I'm from Kent and that's what we say Volt. So. But I think it's the Italianism which makes it VoLTE. It's like volte face. However, the other advantages, certainly the setup speed is really impressive. The delay in LTE radio in itself lends itself to real-time services. So typically previous technologies, just the radio delay in itself is a major part of the delay budget. And you take that out with LTE, you have 5 to 10 millisecond delay on the radio. That means that all of your real-time services work better, and along with the voice over LTE call setup in that Telefonica demo, they do seamless transfer between voice and video. They also do interactive whiteboarding. If you go to the LG stand next door, they demonstrated that to me. And they're also showing handover between LTE and Wi-Fi with the voice call staying up. So the fact that you're moving on to, again, a much flatter IP-oriented technology, which means that somewhere down the line, a long time from now, you could even turn your TDM networks off and maybe even refarm the spectrum, getting on into the mindset of being an IP provider is good from the perspective of everything that you serve to the internet, but also all the potential services you serve yourself.
And Elaine, you're an integrated operator. You've got fixed and mobile and Wi-Fi.
Yes,
Is that
yeah.
important to you? What you can do with LTE potentially in the future?
Absolutely. I think with LTE, as you were saying, we're finally getting that, end-to-end IP world. And I think we've been talking about it for a long time. But finally, we're seeing convergence. So for our customers, they're just after the best connectivity. They're technology agnostic. So, whether it's fiber, whether it's LTE, whether it's Wi-Fi, I think, once we're all IP, we can have this true interworking between the networks, providing seamless connectivity to our customers.
Well, let's talk about the customers. What will the customers appreciate? It will be better services for business, better services for the customer. What sort of things will we see in Ireland in the future?
Well, I suppose LTE is going to bring a number of opportunities to us. I suppose in the short term, we're a fixed mobile operator. We're rolling out fibre to 1.2 million households, so the majority of households in Ireland, but unfortunately not all households. So I think LTE presents a fantastic opportunity for us to really enhance the broadband experience in more rural locations. And that's something that we're going to be focusing on very early in our deployment, straight away in 2013. So I think that's a great opportunity. And then, as you are saying, the connectivity, the immediate experience, you can really see the difference between 3G and 4G. And I think until you experience that, actually somebody gave me an interesting analogy recently. It's like getting a dishwasher. Once you've had one, you'll never go back. And that's it. I think once you've experienced 4G, you'll actually never go back.
I've used that analogy in the past as well. Exactly that one. Maybe it's done the rounds. I don't know.
It probably has, actually. Yeah.
But are you already talking to enterprises and banks and so on about the sort of potential uses that you can have for LTE in instant banking?
Yes, absolutely. Certainly on the enterprise side, we're getting a lot of interest from our customers, where they are coming to us, as well as us going to them, and they're asking us about 4G. They've seen the possibilities, they've heard of the possibilities, and their providers are talking to them about 4G. So I think that's very positive for us. Yeah.
Dan, you've been here at Mobile World Congress for the last few days and played a major part in it. What are you seeing from around the world in the biggest, most exciting LTE services that you can see?
I think certainly the kind of things that you're describing in the enterprise space, there's a lot of noise around doing cloud storage as well. I think that the thing with cloud storage is that it's a symbiotic relationship. You need highly pervasive bandwidth in a lot of places because you want people to become dependent upon it. And once they are dependent upon it, you have to make it available everywhere, which is why the tie-in between cellular and Wi-Fi is quite important. And the Wi-Fi aspects which are coming through at this event are very strong. We've done a lot of work with the WBA Alliance to enable SIM-based authentication onto Wi-Fi, and now we're working on seamless handover. And the technically minded people who are at World Congress will be walking around and noting ANDSF as an acronym, which is appearing in an awful lot of places, which it never has done previously. So
ANDSF, what does that stand for?
it stands for Access Network Domain Selection Function, but it is essentially the thing in the network which determines whether you attach to a Wi-Fi network or a cellular network and controls the point at which they hand over. So it's a really hardcore piece of technology, but it's something which we're gradually cracking, and it's been around in standards for a few years. But accompanying that Telefonica demo, and there's another demo on the Vodafone booth as well, ANDSF is a really big thing from a technologist perspective.
So, Elaine, do you see that as important, things like ANDSF? Because you're an engineer
Yes.
by background, so is that something that excites you?
Yes, it is. It brings out the geek in me. I think going back to my earlier point about customers don't care about the technology, they just want the best connectivity. So we are aggressively rolling out a Wi-Fi network. We've about 2,000 hotspots already deployed. So it's a key part of that connectivity strategy for Eircom. So I think if we can get to a point where we can integrate our LTE network, our Wi-Fi network, and provide that seamless experience. And I think one of the other big themes coming out of this week's MWC, or this year's MWC, is around customer experience. That real focus on customer experience, and I think that's what it's all about for us. And that's where we feel, the differentiation is war, I suppose, is going to be fought by different operators.
Great. Well, thank you. That's a good point to stop. on the customer experience. So Elaine
Yes.
from Eircom, thank
Yeah.
you, and Dan from the GSMA, thank you both very much. And that concludes the latest episode in the GTB Wipro television coverage from Mobile World Congress here in Barcelona. We'll be back again with another one soon.
Wipro. Do business better.